your miracle, miracle of light. Bell rang out at school, that's when it happened again. David saw them laughing down the hallway. They chase him, they grab him, but his faith they could not take. He's holding on like his dad taught him to say. I'll be a star of David, I'll take it to the top. I'll fight on, watch me, I'll never stop. I'll fight until they understand. I'll fight until the promised land. Like a star of David, I'll fight on. The bell rang out on a Saturday night. The crowd is cheering his name. David has a soul that's undefeated. Now they chase him and hug him, call him the champ of Shabbos day. And he remembers how his mother taught him to say, I'll be a star of David, I'll take it to the top. I'll fight on, watch me, I'll never stop. I'll fight until they understand. I'll fight until the promised land. Like a star of David. They gather round the chuppah as David breaks the glass. Looking at the western wall, David's home at last. Home at last. Home at last. Like a star of David, I'll fight on. Like David and Goliath, I'll be bold. Like Judah, Maccabee, and kings of old. Stand for all the world to see. I'll stand to fill my destiny. Like a star of David. I'll be a star of David, I'll take it to the top. I'll fight on, watch me, I'll never stop. I'll fight until they understand. I'll fight until the promised land. Like a star of David, I'll fight on. Like a star of David, I'll fight on. Like a star of David, I'll fight on. Are we all drifting? Is our anchor missing? Are we lost in a storm? A sea of life, ships passing in the night. Has hope sailed away? And I got this feeling there's there's got to be meaning. Is there something we can do? Yes, there's something you can do. Yes, we can change the world. Yes, yes, change the world for good. Acts of random kindness, be a lifeline in the storm. Oh yes, we can change the world. Yes, yes, change the world for good. Acts of random kindness, be a lifeline in the storm. A lifeline in the storm. Change our world for good. Street corner praying, cardboard box saying, I see change is love. Empty hands waiting, the silence is raging. Takes a village and a man. And I got this feeling, there's got to be meaning. Is there something we can do? Yes, there's something you can do. Yes, we can change the world. Yes, yes, change the world for good. Acts of random kindness, be a lifeline in the storm. Oh yes, we can change the world. Yes, yes, change the world for good. Acts of random kindness, be a lifeline in the storm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bais Abraham Congregation's first ever virtual gala. I am Simone Picker, one of the gala co-chairs, and I'm honored to be a part of this event. We are so happy you all can join us. It is really wonderful to see your faces. Before I share a bit about our evening together, I want to thank everyone who has purchased and bid on the beautiful artwork we've shared the past week. Our art sale and auction are now closed, and auction winners will be notified via email. Thank you to all the skilled artists who so graciously created and donated their art for the benefit of our shul. Tonight, we are thrilled to celebrate all of the incredible qualities and the dedicated individuals that make Bais Abe such a special place. Our esteemed president, Larry Friedman, will be recognizing our honorees, Laurie Goldman and Stewart Shilcrat, for their many contributions to our shul. He will also officially welcome Rabbi Garth Silberstein to the Bais Abe and St. Louis communities. And a big mazel tov to Rabbi Silberstein on his recent marriage to Aviva. We are so happy to have you. In our lovely digital journal, which will be available for download this week on the Bais Abe website, we encourage you to take a look at the It Takes a Shul page. You will find the names of the many people who volunteered much of their time to help us fundraise and create a meaningful event despite some challenges. A special thank you to Michelle Grelnick of M. Grelnick Enterprises, LLC, for her talented efforts and flexibility in designing tonight's tribute journal. Thank you to the Bais Abe staff, especially Ruth Schachter-Cohen, for all her hard work and continued patience throughout the planning process. And I'd personally like to thank my co-chair extraordinaire, Dali Oppenheimer. It's always such a pleasure working with you. Now I will turn it over to the one and only Larry Friedman to present to the honorees and welcome our rabbi.
Thank you, Simone. Thank you, Dahlia. I want to first thank Simone and Dahlia for co-chairing.
Larry, can you fix your audio, please? It's a little hard to hear you.
Is this any better?
Oh, he's unmuted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank Simone and Dahlia for all their work, for all the volunteers to help them. These are extraordinary times, and Simone and Dahlia ended up having to plan two games. The original one that we were going to be, that was going to be in person, and this, we're very grateful for your dedication to permit us together as a community. I am delighted to see all the people who are literally all across the country. I never thought I'd be saying this.
I'm sorry, Larry, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Do you mind fixing your audio again, please?
Well, I'm not sure what to do.
That's clear now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just finished thanking Simone and Dahlia, and I'm delighted of all the people who joined us from around the country and around the world. I never thought I'd be saying this. I actually missed these person, and I'm looking forward to doing that. Now, I have the privilege of presenting service awards to Stewart, our honorees, Stewart, Shilcrat, and Lori Goldman. And they exemplify what our congregation is all about. Stewart works tirelessly as a rabbi and organizer the core function of the Orthodox. He also teaches classes, and he and his wife, Paula Lemmerman, are frequent volunteers and organizers of many of our programs. Every year they sponsor one of our most meaningful programs about mental health issues. It's a beautiful tribute and memorial to their son. Stewart, I'm pleased to present you with this token of our appreciation. So this is my video. Can you see me? I'm going to switch. Bear with me. I'm going to switch cameras here. Hang on one second. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, can everybody hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. Did everybody hear what I said about Stewart? Sort of.
Do the whole thing over.
All right, I'll start again. And I appreciate your patience. I have the privilege of presenting the awards to our honorees, Stewart, Shilcrat, and Lori Goldman. They exemplify what our congregation is all about. Stewart works tirelessly as our rabbi and as the organizer of our daily minyans, which is the core function of any Orthodox synagogue. He also teaches classes, and he and his wife Paula Lammerman are frequent volunteers and organizers of many of our programs. Every year they sponsor one of our most meaningful programs about mental health issues, which is a beautiful tribute and memorial to their son Micah, Zichrono Livracha. Stewart, I'm pleased to present you with this token of our appreciation. It's a book about Kabbalah, and I want to read the inscription, which was designed by Phyllis Shapiro. I want to thank her. Here's the inscription. In honor of Stewart Shilcrat, for his service to Bais Abraham congregation, may Hashem give you the strength and vision to continue in your holy work on behalf of the Bais Abe community. We're going to hear from Stewart in a moment, but first I want to present the award to Lori. Lori Goldman is involved in a part of our shul that is particularly close to my heart, preparing the meals that make our social gatherings that much more enjoyable. Lori brings that nurturing and giving spirit to many other aspects of shul life that she works on mostly behind the scenes and without a lot of recognition. She and her husband, Larry, are stalwarts of our community, and we've had the merit of watching their 3 sons grow into proud young Jewish men. I'm particularly impressed that Lori has had the strength and fortitude to raise 3 boys. That's something that I know is difficult from personal experience because my mother had to do that. And given that I was one of those 3 boys, you can imagine that was no picnic. So I take my hat off to Lori and to Larry. In recognition of Lori's service to Bais Abraham, we are presenting you with this sculpture. A burning bush sculpture.
Turn around a little bit.
And we wish you and your family many, many more years of happiness and togetherness. And we thank you and we thank Stewart. Now I'll call upon Stewart first and then Lori to say a few words. So Ruth should be muting them. Thanks, Lorraine. There's Stewart, but I can't hear him.
Is he muted? He's still muted.
Muted. There we.
Jeez.
I was unmuted. I am unmuted now. Is that correct? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, start from the beginning. I'll skip pages 1 through 5. I wish to thank Rabbi Silberstein, Shul President Larry Friedman, former Shul President Martha Ginsburg, and our wonderful Gala Chair Simone Picker and Dahlia Oppenheimer, and the entire Bais Abe community for this honor and for this gift. But actually, I would like to thank people even more for welcoming Paula and me into the community. You have been our friends and our sounding board. We have shared both good times and bad times together, and you have helped give us purpose and direction. Now, near the end of yesterday's Torah portion, there was a section where Moshe complains to Hashem that guiding the people was too much for him. Hashem tells Moshe to select 70 elders who will share Moshe's gift of prophecy for at least that day. Eldad and Medad, who were not part of that group of 70, also started to prophesize. When told by Joshua what they were doing, Moshe's response is that he wished all people could prophesize. Moshe was not selfish, and he was open to sharing the kavod and the burden with others. Now, this attitude of humbleness, lack of ego, inclusion, and warmth is what drew me to Bais Abe. You have welcomed me and my wife Paula and my family into this unique shul, and you have helped me to grow. Thank you very much for your kindness and for your caring.
There we go. Thank you, Larry, for the kind words. Mazel tov to Rabbi Garth, Aviva, and Stewart, and Paula, too. When my boys joined the Boy Scouts, they learned about cheerful service, and that really resonated with me. Although I don't always succeed, it is definitely a goal of mine, so this award means a lot to me. First, I'd like to thank my parents for showing me a life of service. I've been spending a lot of time with 3 teenagers and thinking about how my parents raised me. When I was 16 years old and learning to drive, the car was full of Russian Jews that were also learning to drive. I shared my bedroom with cousins that my parents helped graduate high school and college. The benefit of today's Zoom is I can celebrate today with my parents. My wonderful mother-in-law, Sarah Willick, thank you for teaching me how to be a cheerful host. Thank you to my amazing mitzvah siblings, sister-in-laws, brother-in-laws, neighbors, and friends for being here today. How lucky am I to have friends and family that exemplify cheerful service in their life. I have enjoyed working with you on so many service projects, like making shalach for senior citizens, pumpkin pies for the food pantry, the Boy Scouts, lots of charity walks, and Jewish-Muslim Day of Service. Thank you to Rabbi Schaffner, Rabbi Ben Greenfield, Rabbi Garth, Silberstein, Ruth, Maharat, Rory, Colony, and everyone at Bais for all that you have done for us, from loaning Larry and I a Torah for our wedding, bringing us meals after each of my sons were born, hosting a bone marrow drive for my cousin, 3 amazing bar mitzvahs, 2 Eagle Scout projects, and teaching us all so much. Big thank you to everyone that helps in the kitchen. I've been thinking of the wonderful holidays, Shabbats, and events we have made possible, and I hope we can do that again. Thank you, Hashem, for Larry, Joel, Ethan, and Ari. You all are the best, and you are always game for my crazy ideas, and I love you so much. And I'm wishing everyone on this call all good health. Thank you.
The next part of our program is our welcome and presentation to Rabbi Silberstein and his wife Aviva. I don't know if anybody could was able to hear me earlier before I presented the service awards, but I wanted to thank again Simone and Dahlia for all the work that they did. They ended up planning 2 galas, the original one that was in person, and then this one, and that was above and beyond the call of duty, and they've done an amazing job, and we all thank them very much. It's wonderful to see all the people participating, zooming in from literally all over the country and all over the world for that matter. I said this once before, but if you didn't hear me, what I said was, I never thought I'd be saying this, but I actually miss seeing some of you people in person, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again soon. Now it's time for me to. I have the privilege of welcoming and introducing our rabbi and his new wife Aviva. The first thing we're going to do, if you'll get it ready, we have a video from Rabbi Schaffner, and so let's see that now if we could.
Wonderful to be with you at the Bais Abraham Gala, even if it's only virtually. As everybody knows, Bais Abraham is a unique. It's wonderful to be with you at the Bais Abraham Gala, even if it's only virtually. As everybody knows, Bais Abraham is a unique shul and community that is warm, that is welcoming to such an extreme. It doesn't matter who you are, what background you're from, you are part of the Bais Abraham community. This is a message that I take with me in my heart and in my work where I go. It's what guides who I am as a rabbi. Even though I'm not at Bais Abe anymore, I'm in Washington, D.C., it's really what guides my work on behalf of the Jewish people, the world, and the Jewish community. I've known Rabbi Garth for several years. He is someone who is warm, who is welcoming, who is thoughtful. He is the right person at the right time to be your rabbi at Bais Abraham. As Rabbi McGinsey used to say, we all have to stand up. And Lori Goldman and Stewart Shilcrat are lay leaders that really do, as Rabbi McGinsey said, stand up. Whether it's working in the office, whether it's putting on an event, whether it's teaching a class, they are really there to make it happen and to put their all into it. And that's what it takes. A rabbi who can be embracing and lay leaders who can really keep things going, and you have it all. Sarah and I wish that we could be there with you in person. We had plans to be, but of course now it's all virtual. And we hope very soon that we can be with you in person to help herald the Bais Abraham message that is so important for the Jewish community, for the Jewish people. We are so honored to have been part of it for a long time and to take it with us now wherever we go. Mazel tov.
What an honor and a joy it is to say a few words as you celebrate your wonderful congregation, Bais Abe, and your extraordinary Rabbi Garth Silberstein and Rabbanit Aviva. I go back with Bais Abe 50 years to my first pulpit at Traditional Congregation of Krivka, when Rabbi McGenzie, he befriended me and became my mentor. And Bais Abe has grown to become a synagogue lidukma, inclusive, non-judgmental, open, loving. Just alei v'hatzlach, continue in your success. And your president, Larry Friedman, who was bar mitzvah during my tenure as the spiritual leader of Traditional, has had such impact on the community, and my blessings to you as well, Larry, and to your family. And Rav Garth, Yedidi, your Hebrew name Ezra so befits who you are. You are an ozer la'achirim. You are always there for other people. Rav Ezra is a rare combination of so many strengths. He is eloquent, articulate, brilliant, a Yodea Sefer, a young Talmid Chacham. But he's a person, Garth is your rabbi, who combines brilliance of mind with a heart that's overflowing with love. It's Abraham Heschel who once said, when I was young, Heschel said, I was impressed by people with great minds, and Heschel had a pretty good mind, but he said, as I grow older, I'm more impressed with people with great hearts. And you, God, have both great mind, great teacher, great heart, great soul. Your soul is so connecting earth to the heavens and embracing all of Am Yisrael and Kol Yoshvei Tevel. And perhaps it's not a coincidence that this installation takes place on the heels of Balotcha. Aaron kindles the menorah. And Garth, you are the master lighter of the lights of other people. You really know how to look into the soul. We all have embers, but we need rabbis like you who know how to light the fire. And that's you. Often these moments are called installations, but I'd rather a different word, a word that appears in the Torah, where Abraham or Moshe, even Yosef, they say, Hineni, here I am, I hear the calling. This is an evening not of installation, but Hineni Asian. And Garth, my dear, dear Garth, you hear that calling. You hear the calling to go out and make a difference. And I want to bless you. I want to bless you, Rabbi Silberstein, my dear Garth. You continue being what your name is, an Ezra, an Ozer, to your people, to the world, to your Kehillah. It was so uplifting to see you and Aviva on your wedding day, waving to everyone through Zoom. My heart was singing for you. Please, Rabbi Silberstein, please, Ezra, Garth, take care of yourself. I wish your community many, many years together with your great, great, great Rabbi and Rabbanit Aviva. Go out there, Rabbi Ezra, Rabbi Silberstein, together with your community. Go out there. These are difficult, dark times. It needs your light. Go out there, as I know only you can, Garth, impact Am Yisrael and change the world. Know how much I bless you, Garth, how much I love you. From the deepest, deepest place, Mazel Tov, blessings and love. Mazel Tov to the entire Bais Abe Kehillah. Mazel Tov.
I want to thank both of the rabbis. I'd mentioned Rabbi Schaffner was the first greeting that we heard. He was the previous permanent rabbi at Bais Abraham. And for those of you who didn't recognize him in the second video, that was Rabbi Avi Weiss. Rabbi Schaffner was very eloquent and also did an uncanny imitation of Rabbi McGenzie, by the way. Rabbi Weiss was the founding Rosh Yeshiva of Chovevei Torah, the seminary that Rabbi Silberstein graduated from. And as he mentioned, he was in St. Louis for a year. And what he said about me was very gracious. And I just want to make sure everybody knows that my bar mitzvah was contrary to rumors, my bar mitzvah was not the reason he left St. Louis after 1 year. So I want to put that rumor to rest. Now, it's my pleasure to make a presentation and a welcome to Rabbi Silberstein and to Aviva. As we heard so eloquently from Rabbi Schaffner and from Rabbi Weiss, the special quality of our shul is first and foremost determined by the character of our rabbis. We're fortunate to have had the benefit of outstanding spiritual leaders for many, many years. For over 30 years, the legendary Rabbi Abraham McGenzie shaped the foundation of our congregation. And his successor, Rabbi Schaffner, who we just heard from, furthered the mission of making Bais Abe a comfortable spiritual home for so many. I also want to thank Rabbi Ben Greenfield, who made important contributions to our community during our time of transition after Rabbi Schaffner was called to go to Washington. And now we're looking forward to having Rabbi Silberstein continuing and building on this tradition with Aviva by his side. And I've told people, hiring Garth, it was really about hiring Aviva. Having Garth was a nice, side benefit, but it was really about Aviva. So we're delighted that Aviva has come here. Rabbi Silberstein and Aviva, to help welcome you, we are presenting you with a mezuzah, and here it is. Which we hope will help symbolize the Bayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael that you'll be building for many years to come. And now I'd like to call upon Rabbi Silberstein to make some remarks.
Thank you, Larry, and thank you, everyone, for welcoming us both so warmly in the Bais Abe tradition. I was very touched by your kind words of welcome and by the words of Rabbi Schaffner and my teacher, my Rabbi, Rav Avi. It's hard to express just how much of an honor it is and how humbling it is to be entrusted with the spiritual leadership of this truly unique community, one which occupies a place of importance in not only the St. Louis Jewish community and not only the larger St. Louis community, but the larger modern Orthodox Jewish community in America that goes well beyond our relatively small size. The Bais Abe's importance comes from the way that this synagogue has for decades served as a model of what an Orthodox synagogue should be, a place where we are as zealous about the mitzvah of loving our neighbor, of offering hospitality to guests, of loving and honoring every human being, as we are about the laws of kashrus and Shabbat. Bais Abe is a community that understands that loving and serving our Maker means loving and serving his creatures. It is more than a little daunting to step into an office that has been occupied by such spiritual leaders of vision as Rabbi McGenzie and Rabbi Schaffner, rabbis whose openness, generosity, joyful piety and love for their fellow Jew and their fellow human being made them beloved not only by members of Bais Abe, but by people far and wide here in St. Louis and around the world who were lucky enough to encounter them. What makes it possible to even contemplate stepping into that role is actually the people of Bais Abe. And my awareness that a rabbi doesn't act alone. In Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Prachia said, "Aseh lecha rav." Literally make yourself a rabbi. Make a rabbi for yourself, which tells us that rabbis are not rabbis because of the diploma they have, or because of the learning they have, or the office they occupy, or even their own personal qualities. Rabbis are made rabbis by the people who empower them, and by the communities whose traits enable them to be leaders. And I know that this community is a community that has empowered rabbis like Rabbi Megensi, Alav Shalom, Rabbi Schaffner, spiritual leaders as well, like Maharat Rory Pikernis and Rabbi Ben Greenfield. This is a community where people like our honorees, Lori and Stewart, can shine and thrive. And this is a community that's made possible by the hard work of our amazing, talented, hardworking staff. Ruth Schachter Cohen, who put countless hours, as was already mentioned, into this event, behind the scenes in ways that when she's doing her job, no one even knows about. And as well as Kalani Chapel, who helps also behind the scene in so many ways, along with Lori Goldman. Volunteers, too many to name, but just to pick an example of Simone Picker and Dalia Oppenheimer, who shared this event and made it possible, and as Larry put it eloquently, planned not one but 2 galas this year, and did it with a smile in that mode of a joyful service that Lori spoke about. And lay leaders like our shul president, Larry, who, as you know, if you didn't before, you know tonight, does his job with humor and goodwill and humility. Our dedicated and hardworking past president, Martha Ginsburg, who steered the ship through a transition that was not easy in many ways. But really, everyone who makes up this community, board members, shul members, people who aren't members, but show up at every event that we do, or who write us checks month after month and year after year, or who show up to volunteer because they're inspired by Bais Abe's vision of an open and welcoming Orthodox shul. I think about the joke about the guy who sees a group of people running by and he wonders where they're going, and then he sees someone running after them. And he says, "Hey, wait a minute, where are those? Do you know where those people are going?" And the guy running after them says, "I'm sorry, I can't stop. I have to catch up with them. I'm their leader." And sometimes at Bais Abe, I feel like that leader running to catch up with my visionary congregants, from whom I learn so much and from whom I take so much inspiration. All of you on this Zoom call, and so many who are not able to be with us here tonight, are responsible for making sure that Bais Abe continues to live up to its name. Bais Avraham, the house of Abraham. Abraham, whose tent was famously open on all 4 sides so that wayfarers coming from any direction could come and find shelter there. A place of what we call radical hospitality. And it's no secret in the Torah, and it's no secret to us, that Abraham's tent was not possible just because of Abraham, but because of Sarah, Imenu, our mother Sarah, and their whole household, who all were part of that vision. And I know that my role in Bais Abe is only possible because of the partner that I have at my side, my love, Aviva. And I thank you on behalf of the people of Bais Abe for making it possible for me to do my job, and for making it possible for me to thrive and in this role. I feel a great responsibility as the rabbi of Bais Abe to help ensure that this holy community continues to live up to its name. A responsibility that feels all the weightier because of the the weighty and uncertain times we are living in. Bais Abe's vision and values represent, I believe, the future of the Jewish world. And if we embrace and live up to those values of openness, of love, of hospitality, of warmth, there is a great future waiting for us. But the way there is not without perils. We face challenges as we look to the future. Not only the chronic challenges that most, if not every shul faces in this world, the challenges of how to grow membership, how to balance the budget, how to steward limited resources, how to meet the needs of a new generation that has different attitudes towards shul membership and shul attendance. But newly prominent challenges, I don't want to say new challenges, but newly prominent challenges of how to balance our core value of openness and welcoming with the need for security and for protection, how to build and maintain community in a time of social isolation. And now more than ever, the challenge of how we as a synagogue show our solidarity with the African-American community in the wake of the police killings of George Floyd and Rayshard Brooke and so many others, especially when we as a Jewish community ourselves rely on the police for our protection. How do we show up for our African-American members and the larger African-American community at this time? These are not small challenges, they're giants. And how we react to these giants, whether we go to meet them head on or we turn tail and run away, will make all the difference. In our Parsha this week, Parshat Shalach, the 12 scouts come back from the land of Canaan, telling both of its greatness and bounty, but also warning of the giants who reside there, the fortified cities, the challenges that await us. The problem was not that they told the truth, that there were giants in the land. The problem was what they said after, that we have no hope of succeeding in the face of these challenges. Our task is to look squarely at the challenges that face us for what they are and take them head on. And if we can do that, working together, I trust that we will move forward together into a bright future. I want to conclude by introducing our featured speaker tonight, someone who was raised in this community and who embodies the spirit of Bais Abe and its warmth and its openness, and has carried that spirit with her in her travels and into her life in Boston. Kasara Nemes grew up in St. Louis, running up and down the aisles of Bais Abe, and will always consider Bais Abe to be one of her primary communities. She has a master's degree in expressive art therapy with a specialization in dance movement therapy and mental health counseling. She works currently for an early intervention agency in the heart of Boston, supporting children and families through the healing power of movement, music, and storytelling. She's honored to share her thoughts on the power of arts in the process of healing and transformation. I'll turn it over now to Kasara Nemes.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Silberstein. Oh, wow, that's a very big image of me. Sorry, 1 second here. Oh, gosh. Thank you so much. And welcome, Rabbi Silberstein and Aviva. It's just, Bais Abe is so blessed to have you both. And it's been an honor to hear about and from our honorees tonight, too. It's so special for me to be back in community with you all the way from Boston, especially during this unprecedented time. We need each other, and I need all of you, so thank you. Thank you for inviting me tonight to share some words. I thought I could use this time to share a combination of personal experiences and stories that have shaped the way I think about and encounter art, as well as some of the teachings that have influenced my work and practice. I had an amazing art teacher in middle and high school. His name, Alav Shalom, was Charles Derleth. Mr. Derleth, to me and my peers and generations of students, was a gentle guiding light in the often tumultuous experience of adolescence. Embedded in his teaching was a belief in each student's unique potential. The Hebrew word for art and artist is oman and omanut, and the root of this word, aleph mem nun, is amen, emunah, faith. Through Mr. Derlith's constancy, we as students in his classroom began to believe in ourselves in a way that had nothing to do with grades, that had nothing to do with how our work compared to anyone else's. He showed us how art can be a force of inner change, of recognizing inner potential, of gaining greater self-awareness and clarity, compassion and openness to possibility, which ultimately resulted in the discovery of our own resilience. Mr. Derlith spoke to us often about the power of seeing versus looking. His gentle support was packed with reminders that the journey of art is one in which we can become more open and more ourselves. My peers and I lived in a world of perfectionism. Mr. Derlith subverted this harmful paradigm by renaming quote unquote mistakes as opportunities for expansion and discovery. Mr. Derlith's message is one that has inspired me to do the work that I do today. Humans have a fundamental need to create, to be seen for who we are, and to know that our feelings deserve attention and safe expression. All art, no matter its form, starts with the release of breath. Movement is an essential piece of reconnecting with our breath. With the constriction of breath, we are narrow, we're static, we're unable to move. Mitzrayim, Egypt, is called a narrow place. It was a place where the children of Israel, Bnei Israel, were unable to move. It was through breath, through action, and through trust that movement happened. In a few minutes, we're going to do some breath work ourselves. But beforehand, some more thoughts. By doing activities that help us to find our breath, that help us release, that help us move from less mindful to more mindful, we are able to feel whatever it is that we feel, to move through it, to recuperate, to gain inner insight, awareness, and clarity. We are able to respond in our relationships from a more grounded, knowing, less reactive place. In the dance movement therapy work that I do with children and families, I use a lot of music and movement that helps children and parents alike be able to access their breath through singing and through a progression of calming, energizing, and then recalming rhythms that allow the inhale and the exhale. In expanding our movement repertoire and listening to our bodies and expanding how we move and dance, we're able to expand our emotional and relational capacity, both with ourselves and with others. Now more than ever, we need to tap into our creativity and imagination, our resilience and our self-compassion. And that can be hard to do right now. How can we move, as my dance movement therapy mentor, Dickie Johnson Macy says, from isolation to solitude and affiliation? It starts with connecting with nature, connecting to our breath. So now we're gonna do, I'm not gonna have anyone dance, don't worry. We're gonna do a gentle guided imagery, guided body scan. So everyone can stay where you are if you would like. If you're more comfortable turning off your camera, you're welcome to. If you would like to step away from the camera so you have a little more space to just get into a comfortable position, it's all good. So I'll just give everyone a moment to find a comfortable space. It could be in your chair, it could be lying on the sofa, wherever you feel most grounded. And you can keep your eyes either on a low gaze and kind of unfocused, or you can close them all together, which is what I'm going to do now. So just notice the support of whatever's beneath you and really feel that support. Maybe it's the bottom of the chair or the sofa or the floor if you decide to lie down there. And we're going to start with our feet. And I want everyone to tighten your feet as tight as you can. Oh, and by the way, I don't want anyone to get hurt from this. So if you would prefer to just send some energy there, that's fine too. No one should go away from this exercise with muscle spasms. Okay, so taking a deep breath in, tighten those feet, and then release. And then release some more. Moving up into your calves and the back of your legs. Tighten. And then release. And then release some more. Moving into your knees and your thighs. Tighten. And then release. And then release some more. Moving into your pelvis, your abdominal muscles. Tighten. And then release. And then release some more. Moving up into your back, all those vertebrae and muscles. Tighten. And then release. And then release some more. Moving into the solar plexus, the chest, and the shoulders. Tighten. And then release. And then release some more. Finding that deep belly breath, moving up into our necks. Tighten. Oof. And then release. And then release some more. Moving into our face and our eyes and our mouth. Tighten everything up so tight. Tight. And then release. And then release some more. And as we do this, we can notice, is there a part of my body that's maybe a little more stuck or held or feeling a little more painful? How can I bring some more breath, some more gentleness into that area? Sending a little extra love, a little extra healing energy to ourselves in this moment. In a moment, we'll start to refocus our energy back into the room, back into the Zoom session. Before we do, we can also ask ourselves what we need to move from the place of tsar, the place of narrow and tight, into the place of breath and expansion. And I invite you, if you have a paper nearby or just want to take down some thoughts later, what comes to you, to feel free to do that. So now that everyone's really relaxed, I'm gonna pass the baton off to Dahlia, I believe.
Thank you, Kasara. I am not Dahlia. I hasten to point out, but I just want to say a few words before we hear from Dahlia, who's going to close our evening. First, I want to thank Kasara. I'm sure Dahlia is going to do that as well, but it's very heartwarming to see how the younger, what to me is the younger generation, who were little kids when I first started going to Bais, how they've developed and grown into impressive Jewish adults, and Kasara and many of her contemporaries who were at Bais exemplify that. And so that's heartwarming to see. I also want to thank Stephen Lefrak and Suzanne Lefrak. Their generosity made possible this Zoom call. They also are sponsors of our online website, and I want to acknowledge them for making this evening possible. And I'll say one more thing. Some of you know, I'm kind of sentimental about the St. Louis Jewish community and the history of these institutions. And our shul, over its past 100 years, has faced many challenges. Our previous generations had many challenges to deal with to help the shul survive so that it was available for us. And we have been given the merit to face one of these challenges now with the pandemic. And I have been, as president, I've been very gratified to see how the board, the members, our friends, everybody have really rallied to help us meet this challenge. And what I've seen from my vantage point as president makes me very confident that, if I could paraphrase one of my favorite quotes, which is from William Faulkner, I'm very confident, based on what I've seen and what everybody in this Zoom call and everybody else has done and is doing. Because of that, Bais Abraham will not only endure, it will prevail, and I'm confident of that. And none of us on the board or officers take for granted anything that anybody has done to make that possible. Finally, before we hear from Dahlia, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge her and Simone, all the hard work they did. And we have a small token of our appreciation that we'll be presenting to them, which I'll ask Ruth to show everybody. And then once we do that, we will hear from Dahlia. And again, thanking Simone and Dahlia. And we'll take a look at our gift from Ruth, and then we'll turn it over to Dahlia to close the evening. So this will be the last year for me. That's the good news. So I want to thank everybody again. And by the way, watch your email for information. We're embarking on the process of opening up for in-person services. So watch your email. We're doing that with the guidance of our world-class infectious disease specialists who have been advising us. We're very, very grateful to have them. Maury Gardner, Tessa Gardner, Michael Gutwine, Greg Storch, the other doctors Stephen Lefrak, George Grossberg, I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out, Michael Rauschman. We're grateful to have all of their, Jeff Haspel, we're grateful to have all of the medical expertise. But watch your email for information about reopening. That'll be happening soon. Bimhei Rabbi Yomenu. And now I'm going to turn it over to Ruth for our gifts to our co-chairs, and then we'll hear from Dahlia.
Thanks, Larry. You're all going to have to visualize the gift because I did not know that I would be showcasing them, and it's in another room. But it's a gift. It's a small token of our appreciation that we hope you will both use to relax. And from my vantage point, just thank you for everything you've done. You're an amazing team to work with, and we hope that you'll enjoy some pampering of food and wine, and then putting your feet up with some foot-related items, and you can all visualize it. So thank you. I'll turn it over to Dahlia.
Well, thank you, Larry. Thank you, Ruth. That's very
very kind. Kasara, it was so wonderful to see your face and even more wonderful to hear your incredible words of inspiration. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Lori and Stewart, Mazel Tov once again on this very well-deserved recognition. Bais Abe would not be Bais Abe without you, and we're so grateful for all that you do. Ruth, as was expressed in the comments, your efforts in making this evening a success were paramount. Thank you for endless hours of meetings and more Zoom practice than anyone should ever have to endure. Simone, you are the very best kind of volunteer to work with because you do all the work. Thank you for cheerfully and tirelessly tending to every detail to make sure the logistics and spirit of this evening were perfect in every way. As we wrap up, here are a couple of very important reminders. All auction winners will be notified via email. Thank you so much for supporting Bais Abe. The journal as well will be available for download via the website, as well as the recording of this evening's program. In closing, and we're actually going to end on time. I am so excited. Go us. In closing, Rabbi Silberstein and Aviva, I'm very excited to meet you, by the way. On behalf of all of us on this call and the many people you have connected with throughout your short time here, thank you. Bais Abe has a long-standing tradition of positivity and joy. That tradition is perhaps being tested in these trying times, but it is clear to all who meet you that you are meant to be, as Rabbi Weiss put it, the light who can remind us of our ability to illuminate one another and illuminate Klal Yisrael. To our Bais Abe family, far and wide, it was so good to see you tonight. Simone and I are grateful to have had the opportunity to celebrate our wonderful congregation and community with you, and we wish all of you good health and a good evening. Goodbye, everyone. Since I'm still unmuted, you can join the after party with me. Thanks, everyone.